Hello, this is Candy from eyes2jesus.blogspot.com. It's coming to you from my love seat here in the living room. I am doing a major organization project right now, but I thought I would just sit down and take a break and just do a quick video in honor of Autism Awareness Month, which April is known as. I did do some autism videos last year as well. I don't tend to go with all these different awareness things. However, I do like to help spread autism awareness in April when I can, because I'm autistic. I have a form of high functioning autism called Aspergers. So in today's video, I just wanted to briefly touch on a little bit of my experiences of going to public school when I was a child with undiagnosed Aspergers. I got some notes here on my planner on my lap, so if you see me look down, that is why. So, first thing is, how come neither of my parents noticed my autism? Well, they did notice some things, like I didn't respond to my name. They also noticed my interactions with other children and other people in general were different, and they just figured that I was shy or a tomboy or a loner, or that I would grow out of it. But also, neither of my parents themselves grew up in a normal family environment. My mother grew up with an alcoholic father, and my dad grew up bouncing around from foster home to foster home. And you combine that with that I was an only child, so I didn't have any siblings that they could then compare me to. No neurotypical sibling before or after me to show a distinction. So yeah, in public school, I left public school in the mid-90s after 10th grade because I could not take it anymore. So I legally homeschooled myself through the rest of high school, got my high school diploma, and did some college from home. But from then, from 1st grade up to 10th grade, I was in the same school. It was a small school that it went all the way from Head Start program up until senior. So there was no changing school for junior high or high school. I was with the same group of kids from 1st grade up to 10th grade. And for me, that was not a good thing. I guess today's term is bullied. I was very, very, very bullied. Never usually physically, because I was never a small kid, and I've always been able to defend myself physically. The extent of physical bullying would be one time, I think it was in 10th grade, when I finally decided I couldn't take it anymore. They were stoning me, and I got knocked almost unconscious. Yeah, other than that, the bullying was relentless, following me around, just teasing me and picking on me. I was constantly called weird and stupid, and up until puberty hit, ugly was in there as a trio as well. And I didn't even necessarily get a break when I was out of school, because I would be prank called over the weekends, about every weekend. And I never knew why I was being picked on. I didn't know why I was always being called weird or stupid. In fact, I remember in junior high to maybe early high school, I started asking, why am I weird and stupid? Why do you call me these things? And I started just asking them, why do you think I am these things? And the answers were quite a letdown. The answer was, well, because you just are. And that didn't help my research at all in helping me not be weird or stupid. It wasn't any better with teachers in the school. They would actually side with the bullies. Like one time my purse was stolen. They didn't do anything about it. I had to call my mom, and she had to come down and yell at the principal in order to get my purse recovered. I had to lie and say that everything was still in there, but it wasn't. My cigarettes were stolen. I smoked at the time, and of course I couldn't say that. Thankfully, the smoking was short-lived. I'm so glad I didn't do a lot of damage to my lungs. I felt that the teachers didn't like me, and the evidence that led me to that conclusion was I saw the teachers interacted differently with the other students than they did with me. With the other students, they were smiling, they were laughing, they had a connection, and with me, the smile would fade, their voice would become harsher, and it just really felt like they didn't like me. And I didn't understand how the teachers and students had this connection or this relationship, or how the students with each other had those connections and those relationships. I really still don't understand how that works. And I talked about that in some of my autism videos last year too. In school they noticed that I was different, and they started taking me out of class and giving me all sorts of tests, psychological tests, trying to see, okay, you know, is she ADD? Is she clinically depressed? Is she bipolar? And they could never get anything down and nothing to recommend for a diagnosis, because Asperger's wasn't even really a known diagnosis very much, especially to public schools in the mid-90s in the U.S. and you know, it was the mid-90s when I left. So they couldn't pin anything down. They gave me hearing tests because I didn't respond to my name very well. I passed with flying colors. They gave me all sorts of motor skills tests. I'm the only person I know of that flunked PE, and I had horrible handwriting. I now know that was fine motor skills, and I have worked on that and improved that over the years. But, and I've also improved my motor skills by exercising. I'm still covered in bruises. I still have bruises always somewhere on my legs and sometimes on my arms. I'm still banging into things and dropping things almost every single day. So I guess I'm still quite clumsy. I'm just used to it now. Yeah, public school for me was a prison sentence. It was a living nightmare. It was a cruel form of torture. And when I was 16 and in 10th grade, my breaking point hit. I couldn't do it anymore. And I had talked to my parents about it. There was no way I was going to go back to public school. I was going to eke out the rest of 10th grade, and I would not go back to a public school no matter what. And so I was allowed to legally homeschool myself, and that's how I graduated high school. And then still, you know, I didn't learn that I have Asperger's until I was 30 years old. I'm 40 years old now, so 10 years in, and I'm still shocked and amazed and intrigued by things that happened in the past that I didn't understand, and now I can look at them through the lens of Asperger's and understand it. I didn't realize that I process sensory input different than your standard neurotypical person does. I hear all the noises around me at the same time at roughly the same volume, and I can't always tell where they're coming from, or not always what's louder than the other thing. And like I have the heater going right now, you can probably hear it. It's got a loud blower on it. I like it, by the way. It's very relaxing for me. Yeah, I mean, I hear raindrops outside. I hear the heater blower going. I can hear, you know, people walking across the floor, etc. But yeah, sensory integration. I hear everything at once at roughly the same volume. Therefore, if someone is calling my name, I might not pick that out from the other noise. And then there's other sensory issues: touch, textures, certain foods, certain intensities of light, loud sounds. Thankfully, excuse me. Thankfully, I've got some noise canceling headphones now, which has really helped. The hardest things for me now is fireworks and parades. So now that I got noise canceling headphones, that's very helpful. But yeah, I just wanted to do a quick video. You know, this sounds so cliche, but you hear people say if you've met one person with autism, you've only met one person with autism, and that is so true. There is no specific autism mold. You know, maybe some autistic, high-functioning autistic Asperger girls were lucky and they had one or two good friends that helped them go through school, and maybe they had a, you know, had a much easier time in school. I did not. Mine was torture. But yeah, Teachers didn't like me, kids didn't like me. I was labeled weird and stupid and didn't know why. Still don't really know why. I refuse the stupid label. I'm thinking the stupid label is from my not picking up on social cues, and the weird label is just how I am, how I act, and how I behave. And this is me, and this is how I function. And I am high functioning. I can drive a car, I can talk on the phone, I can interact with people, but doing those things fatigues me, sometimes excessively. And fatigue is something that most of us on the spectrum do deal with. Things that neurotypical people can handle, like having a simple phone conversation, can completely exhaust us. So we need to recognize those triggers that can lead to fatigue or exhaustion and plan around them accordingly. And that's how I try to do. So anyways, Lord willing and time allowing, maybe I'll put up some more videos in honor of Autism Awareness Month. But just putting it out there too, we autistic children grow up to be autistic adults. It doesn't just disappear when we turn 18. Have a blessed day.